everyone in podcast land, and welcome back to another edition of Selective Memories. I'm your host, as always, Nick Falcone, and with me by my side through thick and thin, Jay. I love it when you call me Big Papa Mesher. Jay, welcome back to the show. This is quite the milestone as we begin another show. Every show for us is a milestone because we set a new record for shows. So for all those out there with limited expectations when it comes to podcasts, how you doing tonight?
I am doing wonderful. Yeah, rumors of our demise have been extremely exaggerated, as the
Extremely,
great
yeah.
Mark Twain said.
Mhm,
But yeah, we are back in action tonight after a brief hiatus.
mhm.
If you're following your other shows before, you'll notice that my facial hair never looks the same at any podcast that we record. So I'll keep you guessing going forward. What will I look like next time?
You just don't know how many chins will I have. I mean, it's up for grabs. You can't see which way we're coming from. So, but I do like this new filter. Our IT guru Jay has this on. This if you're keeping score at home, this was a 13-inch RCA television. I had this one. You may want to adjust your vertical hold tracking. I believe we'd be somewhere in UHF station like 99 if you were finding us 50 years ago. So
You
we're definitely on the high band.
I mean, UHF, you might find something like Conan the Librarian. Uh, what else? Raoul's Wild Kingdom live from his apartment.
Yes, yes.
Can't remember there was a game show for kids. I remember the one kid found a marble in the oatmeal, so he got to drink from the fire hose. But I think that was called Stanley Spadowski's Fun House. Now that my memory's kicking in.
Classic, classic. Yeah, if this was a true filter like from our generation, it would be set to 3 because that's what you'd have to have for your cable box, VCR, Nintendo, Atari, whatever attachment you had to be on channel 3 for anything else to work on it.
I mean, and not only that, if you wanted to play a video game, you don't just hit the TV input button on your remote
Nope.
control. No, you had to go around to the back of the TV, make
Hmm.
sure you had the little adapter plugged in, and had the little bar slid up to auxiliary, and
Hmm.
you could play your Atari, your Commodore, whatever you had hooked up at that time.
I There was a while back when we had moved into our house, I had Xfinity on the line, and there was an issue. I wasn't getting sound, and it turned out just to be a bad HDMI cable. And let's just call him Junior on the other end was saying, "Now, do you remember when we had like the red, white, and yellow RCA cables?" I said, "Do I remember those?" I said, "I go before that to a coax cable. I go before that to 2 screws to put an adapter to your coax cable." I said, I have several levels. He goes, okay. So you know what I'm talking about. I said, yes, I am well aware.
You should have asked him, okay, so how many, if you can remember back, what's the fewest number of channels you could actually watch on your TV when you were younger? Because for guys like, people like
Mhm.
us, it was probably what, about 4 or 5 channels. That was about it.
If you
These
were
kids
getting over
today
the
don't know.
air in this area, that was all you were getting. In our
Yeah.
first cable package, we went up to 36. That was KBL/VH1. That was the first like premier cable package. You started with like C-SPAN on one, then you went to 2 for KDKA. For whatever reason, channel 4 was actually channel 3 when it came to cable, and you just moved up the dial from there. And I still remember that Nickelodeon was 27. When HBO came on, it was 20. When they invented Cinemax, it was 15. Uh, uh, MTV was 24. USA was 25. I
Oh
mean,
my gosh.
it's scary. I mean, that's where my memory is for important things like that. That's where these selective memories are kept embedded in my brain.
Yeah, there was no guide on TV to tell you what channels they were. You had to remember, or you were scrolling forever
Mhm.
till you found it.
Yeah, and if every Sunday in the Trib, you got your TV guide for the week.
Yep.
If you weren't paying for TV guides, you got the little paper, so you could look through and find some your quality programming.
Oh yeah.
So you could set the VCR to tape Dallas, Miami Vice. Make sure you were all dialed in.
But whichever format we happen to be in
Mhm.
week to week, whether it's standard definition that you're seeing right here, or ultra super duper high def that you might see later on down the line, we are excited to be here and ready to deliver some more memories for you.
Yes, we are. And we have now come to the part of the year which, for some, has great memories, some has rough memories, but this is March Madness time of the year. This is a time when basketball pools and brackets were brought out, dreams were dashed, hopes were raised. For me, it was basically a time of how is Pitt going to break my heart this year? Thank you, because as you know, Pitt is it, and I have uh, I have memories of Carl Krauser and Brandon Knight, and I mean, let's just go down Siobhan Troutman and Sam Young, and just
Ontario let.
yes, so many young men from Brooklyn and the Bronx, and that strong New York contingent where we get our talent from, and I can still see that buzzer beater against Villanova that broke my heart. I can see them losing in Indiana. I can see them losing in the Big East tournament or winning the Big East regular season only to not get a number one seed. A lot of strong early 21st century memories, and then of course, I mean, you'd have to go back to the '80s and sending in Jerome Lane and all those when they were real little, but. Yep, it's so many times we're on the doorstep and just could not deliver with those teams. So instead of sitting back and being depressed in this COVID era bracket, which who knows who's playing? Some couldn't, some are in COVID protocols, some are in bubbles. I mean, honestly, you know, Westmoreland Community College could win it this year. It doesn't. I don't even. It doesn't even matter. But we thought we'd come up with a little something special this year. We've talked about sports movies. We love them. It's in our DNA. So while everyone is doing their specialty brackets, we are put together through our supercomputer that we pay much money for. We have put in some of the best movies, sports movies in recent history, going back to 70s and 80s for us, and we've come up with the. We've already made it to the Sweet 16. We have the top 16 sports movies. Now, this is a mix of our personal favorites, IMDb rating. For those who don't go on that site, it's wonderful. International Movie Database, and their rankings of popularity and quality. So let's just jump right into it, Jay. And I'm going to take you as we have bracket announcement here. This is our number 116. This is our first matchup, and this is in the number one seed Hoosiers against number 16 Breaking Away. What comes to mind when I bring up Hoosiers for you, Jay?
Everything, only because I'm not only a Pitt fan, like you said, but from my family standpoint, most of my mother's family, both grandfather and grandmother, are from the Hoosier State. So I was born and raised to be a Indiana Hoosier fan in everything, but especially Indiana basketball. So I've known about the spectacle that is the high school basketball tournament for Indiana. No matter how big or how small the school is,
Mm-hmm.
they all get a chance to compete for the ultimate prize, state championship. Um, that plus my upbringing, and the fact that I've never seen Breaking Away will put up. I'll put Hoosiers past Breaking Away in the biggest landslide ever. I mean, we're
It's
talking, we're talking. I don't know, probably like a 40-point game in that one.
See, now this is tough because this is one here where it's a sentimental one for me. Breaking Away, late '70s. Dennis Quaid, strong cast. It takes place in Indiana. It's a bicycling movie, and the townies are called cutters because all the locals there work in the stone quarries. and they put together a team, and they are allowed to compete in the Little 500, which is the bicycling 500 lap tournament that the University of Indiana puts on in Bloomington every year. So, team of cutters, has-beens, and never wases who never made it past high school, were able to compete in this, and it was up for Academy Award the year it came out. It's one of those tugs at your heartstring movies. So I recommend anyone out there to take a look at it. And we'll get back to that matchup. But I still, as much as I love that movie, this is a 116 matchup nonetheless. So now we'll go on the bottom side of that bracket. We're going to go to the 215 matchup. And coming up, the Philadelphia Museum of Art steps is Rocky Balboa. We're going Rocky 1, the original, the classic, not Rocky 12. This is the original. This is the original Sly in his prime, Rocky, from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, against Glory Road. How do you think of that matchup, a 215 matchup, Jay?
I mean, it's I always like a good true story. So there's a lot of sentiment there for Glory Road, especially what all is involved for those who are not familiar with Texas Southern back in the day, and the great Don Haskins, the coach of the Texas Southern team. At Rocky, I mean, it's Sylvester Stallone. It's a piece of Americana that most everybody knows. It should be a 2 versus a 15. Usually 9 times out of 10 that 2 wins, but sometimes that 15 sneaks in there in the big dance, and there could be a chance for Glory Road to do the same.
Yep, and I feel the same. It's not a given. Obviously, there's a strong favorite in Rocky. Glory Road, exactly. I love that story. Not to call you out on point of order, Texas Western was before they became UTEP. So they were going by as Texas Western.
It's one of those directional schools in the state.
Big state.
It's a big state. Yeah. I mean, you could get lost there very easy. I've never been there, so I would get lost there very easily.
The sweet winds of West Texas, as speaking of Pitt, they know very well in their 3-0 loss in the Brute Sun Bowl. Not to bring back rough memories there, but so definitely good 215 there. So we got Rocky, Glory Road. We're going to go back up to our top of the bracket. We'll go to an 8-9 bracket, and this is a tip ball. I think this is a one that can go either way. This is Bull Durham Classic against the Blind Side. Jay, what are you thinking?
I mean, again, you get a true story, so and a lot of like sociological impact there going on, but Bull Durham's a classic comedy baseball movie as well. It could be a toss up. I'll save my bracket for a little bit later, but it's not a toss up for me. I'll let you know where I lean later.
Yeah, I'm feeling you. I hope we don't. This is how true this podcast is, folks. We are not, comparing brackets, so we create, some fake dialogue. We'll see how we come down. On why we've become good friends and podcast partners here is because our brains tend to align on most things. Believe me, there are a few, and it may come to video games or a couple other parts of the social hierarchy. Maybe we don't see eye to eye in terms of our let's just say our passions in different activities. But nonetheless, this is once again, there's winners and there's losers, and they're at this point because they're all good movies. They all have hit a nerve, and some have become classics quickly. Some are classics because they've stood the test of time. So after that, we'll drop down to the bottom bracket. We'll do a 7-10, and at the 7 seed is Miracle in the 1980 U.S. hockey team led by Kurt Russell against number 10. And this is where it gets interesting, folks. Coming in at number 10, The Natural. So you have a 7-10 made for upset history. Seven Miracle versus the Natural, and Jay's already got his eyes down because I can feel it in him. I can feel it.
I mean, you can make the argument for either one of those. So I don't
Mhm,
think, even if we disagree on where we
mhm,
fall on that matchup, there's good points to made for both. A good case could be made for both of those.
mhm.
That they could either one of those games could actually, the winner of that could move on to the final four and maybe even the championship.
That's what hurts me because you could have an upset in the first round here, and they can go deep, but there's some favorites out there that can trounce them quickly. So that's just how tough this is, folks. Because there are some. I mean, there's
The select
these are passionate films here. We're
the
gonna go up to
selection the selection committee took extra time. They met for hours to get this list
to get
compiled for us.
to get it down. And here's another one where you have, I'm going to go to the 512 because another classic fiction against classic true story. And this is number 5 Major League against number 12. Remember the Titans.
If you are a college basketball fan and a fan of bracketology, as the great Joe Lenardi on
Mhm.
ESPN I guess he has a degree in it. I don't know. I don't know. You can actually get a degree in that, but
You just do it long enough, you create one.
that's right. That's right. So history always tells us, you hear everybody say all the time, at some 12 is going to beat a 5. Will this be that 12 that beats this 5? Will remember the Titans beat the higher seed Major League? Who knows?
It's this is one where we'll see how we come down on this one. So a classic 512 bracket buster there. We will go we'll slide back down and we're going to go to a 314 here. Number 3 Field of Dreams against number 14, a sentimental favorite to my podcaster, A League of Their Own.
I mean, you couldn't have, I don't know. This one, I mean, if I have a coin nearby, I might have to actually do a coin flip on camera to determine the winner of this. I'm not sure.
And this is one where you can see that we're not just on the same side for everything because one of these pulls at the heartstring more to the other person on depending on which movie. One's a good movie and one to the other one is immediately Niagara Falls. Frankie Angel is already crying, thinking about the ending, and thinking about that line of headlights in the fields coming because if you build it, they will come.
Do you
But
have
once
do
you,
you have a box of Kleenexes handy just in case you need it while we're going through
I
these?
may,
Okay.
it may be too much. I can't even say the line that would have me break into tears. So instead of having that, we're gonna go back up to the top here. Now this is a 413 here. 4 Raging Bull with the legend Robert De Niro playing Jake LaMotta against another true story 13 Seabiscuit in our lone horse racing movie because there's just not many horse racing classic movies. So 413, what's your initial feeling on that matchup there?
I'm not sure. So, as I can remember, Raging Bull, Jake LaMotta is not necessarily a good guy, someone you root for, right?
Nope.
So you either have a horse or you have a horse's ass winning it.
Very true. Um, Once again, it's difficult because do you just look at the movie, the story, or do you look at how the movie's made in a Scorsese classic? De Niro, Pesci, you know, if you go back historically at the Academy Awards, Scorsese was known for losing to directors in their first time directorial debut, and he lost to Robert Redford's Ordinary People. He lost with Goodfellas to Kevin Costner's Dancing with Wolves. So Scorsese, up until he won for The Departed, was losing to first-time directors with these classic movies. So classic movie, Seabiscuit's one that pulls at my heartstrings. When that horse starts limping as he looks at his jockey, it breaks my heart. Set in the Depression, great true story, awesome movie. Let's look at the final matchup here is the 611. And this one, this is a tough one here. Number 6 is the fighter against number 11, Rudy. Rudy.
It it may be tough for only one of us. This might be one we don't see eye to eye on when we come down to it.
You may be surprised how we see on it. The only thing that's surprising me is the seating. And this is what happens. Some movies just they have a great track record, but pairing is how pairing is. And if this, I don't think Rudy would be a true 11, but only in a field of 16 probably would it sit at 11. If it was in a field of 64, it would be 11 out of 64. It would be much higher. So
probably a 4 seed, a high
I think
3
so.
or a low 4 seed. Absolutely.
Yep. So let's go. We'll go top bottom and work our way. So let's go right from the top here. Number 116. How are you feeling? Hoosiers breaking away.
I got Hoosiers in a landslide.
So do I. It's a little closer for me. I think breaking away holds them in the early, maybe first half. Even it's kind of neck and neck. But Hoosiers just pulls away in the second half. Has too much panache, too much history. They're a quick advancement into the second round.
And too much star power. You have Gene Hackman, you have Dennis Hopper, you have Barbara Hershey.
Strong, striking.
Yes. I mean, you talked about the tears before when he huddles them up before their championship game and says, "I love you guys." A little bit.
Yep. I mean, when Dennis Hopper runs the picket fence on him, I mean, I starred then, I'm tears through the whole movie. When he, and Jimmy Chitwood, I'll make it. I mean, it breaks you. It breaks you into tears.
Ollie shooting the free throws underhanded. Yeah. Can't beat
and a
that.
team this small has never been in the state championship. Little point of fact where they shot the ending, that is in the original Butler Fieldhouse at Butler University.
Oh, wow.
Has at least had maybe one or two field houses since then, but that's a Papa Ben Falcone. Whenever we'd watch that, he said, where they should, this was Butler Fieldhouse. Nice. So for an Indiana, ties yourself, that was a Butler. So
thank you for that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So okay, so we got the landslide out there. If we go down to 215, I'll take this one. Glory Road, love the story, passionate about it. I think it's a wonderful movie. Think it was done well, but to me, the legend that most of your sports movie standards are set on, and at this point when it's made, the first Rocky is you don't always have to win in the end, to get the respect that you deserve, which was Rocky's whole life was 1,000,000 to 1 shot. To me, it's Rocky. Glory Road hangs in there maybe in the first quarter, but from that point on, they're in it. Glory Road, unfortunately, is in the taillights to Rocky. So that's how I feel about it. How about you, Jack?
Yeah, I'm in the same wavelength there. Yeah, it's Rocky. It's Glory Road, like we said before, a great story, great history there. Overcoming the University of Kentucky and Adolph Rupp, winning a national championship. I mean, it is a great story, but Rocky is the underdog of all underdogs. So Rocky wins. There ain't going to be no rematch, and we don't want one.
No rematch. No, don't want one. All right. So right now we're in agreement. Let's go back up. So let's go to the 8-9 underneath the Hoosiers breaking away. 8-9, we've got Bull Durham and the Blind Side. Jay, I'll go to you.
We're going to go Bull Durham on this one. I do not care for.
Here it comes.
Sandra Bullock. So if she's in a movie, it's automatically going to get disqualified for me. Everybody has their own taste. I can't exactly say why I don't enjoy her or her work.
I can't see how you can watch The Net or The Woman from the Bus, Sandra Bullock, a little Frank Costanza line there, but how you can watch Speed or that and not care for the fine actress that is Sandra Bullock. But hey, that's your opinion, my friend.
I do enjoy that story though. Michael Orr, basically coming from nothing and ending up, being in the NFL after a very successful college career at the University of Mississippi at Ole Miss. But yeah, Bull Durham's just always on one of my favorites. If it's on, I'm watching it. So it get passed on this one.
It's one of those where so much is, you have a comedy, but you have a real story there. It's just some legendary lines. Never before have you had a minor league, team with that type of movie behind it, and shows much of that lifestyle. You either have, you know, almost, these legends that never could break to the next level, and these young flash in the pants who are waiting to be called up, and that whole lifestyle and love story and everything went with it. So yeah, I'm in a full agreement with you. We're still in agreement at this point for Bull Durham making it into the Elite Eight. So we will jump back down here for Do You Believe in Miracles, number 7, and The Natural at number 10. Here is I'm going to take this one. This is my first upset, and I'm going with Roy Hobbs going deep, and I'm taking The Natural.
As an American,
Mm-hmm.
as a hockey fan, as a human being, I'm disappointed in you.
I'm so glad I could disappoint you on so many levels.
Unbelievable. True story. Bunch of college kids beating the unbeatable machine, which is the Soviet Olympic national team, on home ice. The whole crowd chant USA, USA. Tears flowing like crazy. Oh, I'm at a loss for words. I do enjoy The Natural. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with The Natural, but this is not just Olympic history. It's American history. It's something that we, as sports fans, as movie fans, gravitate towards. How could you possibly pass that up?
I think you are going way too deep into this. I'm looking at this purely as a movie, and there is a lot of nostalgia there. The Natural is a movie that I watched with my dad. Love it. Robert Redford, Wilford Brimley, Glenn Close. I mean, classic movie. A lot of deep undertones, a dark underbelly of that movie. And I mean, I can just hear, the music behind them, and the Wonder Boy bat. I can't. It's so hard because the Miracle as a movie is so well done. I think Kurt Russell totally went deep into that role. I think Herb was smiling when that movie came out because he passed when they were making that movie. I think he was happy. I think it showed the heart. I mean, you couldn't have a better story. But hey, this is America. This is the land of opportunity. And Roy, no matter what age and what he came back from, he's going to get a shot.
Okay.
So before Jay jumps through the screen and hurts me, we're gonna go back up to the top. We're gonna go to the 512, and this is Major League against Remember the Titans. What are you going with, Jay?
I mean, Major League might be the very first sports movie I can ever remember even watching from way back when. Remember the Titans, as it was released much later. It is shown quite often, and when it is on, I watch it all the time. It is one of my favorite movies. But I'm a sucker for nostalgia, and for me, Major League just brings back a lot of memories from back in my youth, and I think that's why I like it more than anything. I love that movie. It's one of the few movies that, I don't know, I could probably almost recite front to back.
I would,
but yeah, I mean, comedy, baseball. You have a greedy owner hoping to lose bad enough to move the team somewhere so that she can live a better life.
It almost seems like it hits almost too close to home.
Yes.
There were several years before PNC Park was built that started to feel like we were in that situation.
Absolutely.
Especially when you were at games at Three Rivers where the attendance through the gate was like 3,000. So I could feel that, but I'm in agreement with you. I think Remember the Titans, a wonderful story. I think Denzel played a hell of a role there.
Oh, yeah.
The young guys playing the athletes in that were awesome. Brings a tear to my eye when they're playing. Some great motivational lines there, but Major League has that. It's a classic for a reason. It's funny. It's It's summer. It's classic actors. I
It's
mean,
Cleveland.
it's Cleveland. I mean, it's at their. I mean, you have Charlie Sheen, Wesley Snipes, Tom Berenger, all in their prime. I love it from top to bottom. I watch it every time it's on. I recite it, so that's why they advanced the Elite Eight pretty quickly with me.
Yeah.
So that being said, this may be a disagreement coming down here, but we're going to go to the 314 Field of Dreams, A League of Their Own. I am just going to come right out there and say that, Dad, you want to have a catch? I can start crying right now. Field of Dreams did something special, and it's always going to be special with me. I think Field of Dreams, once again, wonderful story, wonderful acting, Penner Marshall directing, Tom Hanks, Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell, Gina Davis. I mean, it was great. I love that movie. It's another one I watch every time it's on. But to me, if you build it, they will come. It's an easy one for me to go Field of Dreams. It's why it's the top seed for me. I mean,
Yeah,
the number a top seed. That's why it's a 3 for me.
yeah, and you kind of preemptively, alluded to this before you started speaking. But you're right. I'm in a little bit of a different direction. I do, value Field of Dreams for its cinematic value and sentiment. The father son relationship and everything. Um, I just never, I guess, watched it all that much, or was felt like I needed to watch it all that much. League of Their Own for me um, wins this one. For me, it was always on. If it's on, I'm watching it. I love it. I love Jimmy Dugan, which is Tom Hanks's character. Um, I don't know, just and it's not like slapstick type funny, but it's I don't know, it makes you feel good for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Um, girls playing baseball while the guys are off to war, and just I guess overcoming a lot of uh, the stereotypes and things like that at the time out there for women.
Mm-hmm.
Not be able to play a man's sport. Big quotes there, but yeah, and Field of Dreams is great. Like I said, the father son aspect. James Earl Jones, fantastic in it. Kevin Costner, of course, always fantastic. Ray Liotta, everything's good in that one. But for me, the 14 takes the 3 in this one and advances on to the Elite Eight.
Okay, okay, I like it. I like where you're going. We will go back up to the number 413. So Raging Bull versus Seabiscuit. How do you call it?
This is tough because I've never seen either movie.
Oh,
So then
oh
I
my
had to think to
gosh.
myself, which
Mm-hmm.
would I rather watch? A movie about a boxer or a movie
Mm-hmm.
about a racehorse? And no offense to our equestrian fans out there, but I would probably much rather see Raging Bull because Martin Scorsese directed it, like you said, Pesci and De Niro in it, and it's about a boxer. Might not be a boxing movie per se, but it's about a boxer. So Raging Bull slides into the Elite Eight for me.
Okay, okay. So with no true background, and this is how brackets are done sometimes. And as my wife was picking her college basketball bracket for work today, I said sometimes I am. This is a year we just went on sheer names. Doesn't matter COVID or not. So this is one you can pick one like that. As much as I like theatrically, Raging Bull, the story of Seabiscuit in a time when America was out of work, America was on its belly. There was so much to be. Why it was a Great Depression, besides financially, was that people were in a state of depression. There didn't seem to be a light at the end of the tunnel. So you grabbed on to these underdog stories. Seabiscuit was too small, too old. Um, was basically bred of this hierarchy of great racehorses, but was for those who know horse racing, there's the horse that you breed to run, and then there's the horse that you breed to run alongside him to make him run. Seabiscuit was a broken down horse from the beginning. It's a great story. I definitely recommend it for all those out there to watch. And for me, Seabiscuit pulls off the upset here. just like he did against Man of War in his classic races with him. And I'm going Seabiscuit 13 is advancing for me. So another disagreement here in the great minds. So we're getting down to our last matchup of the first round, and this is number 6, The Fighter, against number 11, Rudy. This is right off the bat. I love The Fighter. Christian Bale. If you don't like Christian Bale, you need to respect him as an actor, because in this movie, as a has-been athlete turned junkie, and then you look at him in American Hustle and Batman, the things he does physically with his body to invest himself in roles makes me respect him, even if the stories are that he's, maybe not the best guy in the world to work with. But this is a great movie. I'm a big Mark Wahlberg fan, and a big but here, Rudy is tugs at my heartstring. It was a time when I was growing up where now me and the great University of Notre Dame don't see eye to eye. But at this time as a kid, I loved the movie. I loved the story. I had a Notre Dame starter jacket. All because of Rudy. And to me, Rudy advances to the next round. Jay, your thoughts?
If you asked me about 20 years ago, obviously The Fighter wasn't even out yet. I'd be all over the Rudy bandwagon. But in those 20 years, I have fallen way, way off. I haven't seen either one of these two films in quite a long time. But if you give me the choice between the two of them, I'm picking The Fighter. I don't, in my older days, I don't know if I'm getting smarter as I get older or what, but I don't enjoy watching Rudy anymore. Like, even when it's on, I'll skip right over.
See, now that breaks my heart, because you're going way too much into the fan base of Notre Dame. I go with.
Maybe my brother-in-law is a huge fan. Maybe that has something to do with it. I do love him dearly, but I end up eating a lot of crow for my love of the University of Pittsburgh.
I will say, when I made trips out there, when Rutherford and Fitzgerald and those great Pitt teams, and we'd go out to watch them play at Notre Dame, just as a kid, I loved the movie. I loved the story. Didn't really like the team, and the tradition didn't hit home. When I walked onto that campus at South Bend, it does something to you if you let it in. The tradition is what I respect there, and I feel like if I went into Michigan Stadium, or as much as I do not like Ohio State or these great programs, I would feel something for the tradition. I definitely felt it when I walked in to the field and I saw Touchdown Jesus over the end zone and all that. So, but as a movie, I still love Rudy. I still love the story, and I still love when Jon Favreau and when the actor's playing his dad or watching him play.
Ned Beatty.
Yeah, Ned Beatty. Thank you.
Come
slipped my
on.
mind there. When he gets his acceptance letter until he makes that tackle at the end of the game, I am Niagara Falls through that entire 45 minutes. So that's where I'm sitting. So I think just to recap, let me go back through here. So as my bracket is looking here, I've gotten the Elite Eight. I've got Hoosiers playing Bull Durham. I've got Major League playing Seabiscuit, Rudy playing Field of Dreams, and the Natural playing Rocky. Excuse me. You would have Hoosiers against Bull Durham, Major League against Raging Bull, the Fighter against the League of Their Own, and Miracle against Rocky. Am I correct?
You are correct, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to start off here. So my Hoosiers, Bull Durham, because we're in agreement there. This is a tight one. Bull Durham is with them all the way. It's leading at some points until that fourth quarter, until that final 30 seconds, just as Gene Hackman led the boys to victory. He leads them to victory here. And Nuke Calvin LaLoosh is going to have to tip his cap at the end to the finer film, and Hoosiers advances to the Final Four for me.
I agree. I have Hoosiers in my Final Four as well.
Nice. Okay, so let's go to where we're off here. So let's go to the bottom of that top bracket. So I've got Major League Seabiscuit. You've got Major League Raging Bull. if I had to hazard a guess, give me your Major League Raging Bull who's going to the Final Four.
Well, seeing as I've only seen one of the two films, as I said in the first round, we're going to stick Major League in the Final Four.
Major League is in my Final Four as well. It's just too strong. There's too much history of it with me. There's too much comedy. And it, as much as I loved Seabiscuit, Major League advances with me. So that being said, we will move down here to our bottom of the bracket, and we'll go from bottom up. So I've got Rocky versus The Natural. You have Rocky versus Miracle. I'll take this first one. To me, the 1,000,000 to 1 shot stays the 1,000,000 to 1, but it's advancing solidly. The Natural, my love for it and the story of it, I'm still with the prize fighter from South Philly, and Rocky's in my Final Four. How do you see your Rocky versus Miracle?
Rocky against Miracle. So they're both 1,000,000 to 1 shots, maybe even worse odds for one or the other, depending on who you ask. So either way, it's an extreme underdog against what they were facing. But putting them up against each other, USA all the way. Miracle is going on to the Final Four.
Ooh,
You're
look
a bum.
at that.
You're a bum, Rock. Go home. You're a bum.
You know what? Rocky won't go home, and I'm just going to throw that out there. What he means for a part of the state that I have no love for still, but it's.
Have you ever seen the Flyers win the Cup? By the way, no, I haven't either.
No, I haven't either.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely wasn't alive for the 70s, the Broad Street Bullies. But real quick aside, DVE the other day had they brought back Jim Krenn to talk about when him and Scott Paulson, and I can remember this as a little kid when they went to the Spectrum when the Penguins were on an 0-39 run in Philadelphia playing them, and they dressed up in, we'll call them now as Native American chieftains to try to break the curse in the Spectrum, was fantastic. And, definitely the 90s and late 80s at that point to break that. And then Mario through the 90s made it a whole different rivalry. But up until that point, Philadelphia just beat the ever-living snot out of Pittsburgh until the Magnifique stepped on the ice and the whole game changed. But Rocky's still with it for me. I digress. So we will go to the last of the Elite Eight matchup here. And for me, it's Rudy versus Field of Dreams. For you, start us off. So you've got the fighter. Oh, excuse me. You've got the fighter versus League of Their Own. I've got Rudy versus Field of Dreams. So how do you see the fighter and the League of Their Own?
I got a League of Their Own advancing. The 14 seed is going deep here to the Final Four. You always have one that's a double-digit Final Four, one you don't expect. For me, it's League of Their Own.
I feel like you've got so much invested in a League of Their Own. I could have put the 10 Commandments verse it, and you'd still be going to League of Their Own.
Well, I feel that same way with you with Rudy. So I'll be interested to hear what you have coming up here.
Okay, so I'm going to throw it out here. So I've got Rudy Field of Dreams, and
oh wait, never mind. I know where this is going. Never mind.
Do you know where it's going?
Oh, I know. Everybody who's followed us so far knows where this is going. This is the easiest bet ever.
I'm just going to put this out there then, that to me, it's Sean Austin advancing, and Rudy takes it into the Final Four. It's a horse race among horse races. They are neck and neck. But to me, it is the 5'0" 100 and nothing, not a speck of athletic ability. Charles S. Dutton is that final line that makes me advance Rudy. So and he's going on to the Final Four.
It came down to a Scotty Reynolds buzzer beater for Villanova against Pitt for Rudy to get in.
Yep. That's what it came down to. It was neck and neck, but Costner had to bow his head. So as we put together, so our Final Fours here, mine are Hoosiers versus Major League, and Rudy versus Rocky. You would be Hoosiers versus Major League, a League of Their Own versus Miracle. Am I correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So we'll start the final four. For me, it's the 2-11 matchup for me. For you, it will be the 7-14 matchup. You've got the Gonzaga matchup there. I'm looking more like Arizona, maybe Creighton.
Is
If
that
I had to
Arizona?
put this,
Is that Arizona before Sean Miller got busted?
I will just put that out there. It is pre busting. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, because Arizona was always that top seed, just coasting along out there in the West. But okay, so why don't you go ahead? Field of Dreams Miracle. How do you see it going into the national championship of sports movies?
And I'll correct you there. It's League of Their Own against Miracle.
Excuse me, League of Their Own versus Miracle.
Yeah, it's love them both, but I mean, again, I can't go against USA. I am not a communist. I am Team USA all the way. Miracle is in the championship game.
I feel like Kurt Russell sends you a Christmas card, so I'm not sure. I'm just going to throw that out there. And Mike Eruzione, real and actor who plays him, maybe sends you a Christmas card. I don't know, but I'm just saying there's a lot going on there. So I respect that opinion. I like where you're going. Definitely have a dark horse of American passion going to the championship. For me, it is Rocky and Rudy, the double R's, and to me, South Philly just can't hold him back.
Wow.
He's trained his whole life, and he will be calling for Adrian at this one because they're moving on to the championship. Rocky takes it.
Oh boy, chalk. A lot of chalk going on there.
A lot of just gonna throw it out there. This was a movie that was made for peanuts. This was Sylvester Stallone writing, directing. This is a Oscar winner. I'm just going to throw it out from a movie standpoint. This is Americana at its finest. This is the hardworking blue collar, what America is supposed to be, that can rise up and he'll take it all the way to the end. And maybe he found what really we should all be fighting for is just a chance for some respect, and started a dynasty of movies that led in to him defeating communism in Rocky IV. Just throwing that out there, Mr. Miracle. But let's face it, Sylvester Stallone brought down Ivan Drago, brought down the Iron Curtain. So, I mean, if we're talking about communism here, since you just threw that, threw the hammer and sickle right on my forehead that I didn't have Miracle. I'm just gonna.
Communism is just a red herring, as they say in the movie Clue.
Thank you. And this is the way it could have happened. No, 1 + 1 + 2 + 1. No, 1 + 1 + 1 + 2.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So let's go up to the top where we're in agreement, but let's see if we're still in agreement. So Hoosiers Major League, you've got the granddaddy of all movies against probably one of the finest comedic movies and definitely comedic sports movie of all time. I'll throw it over to you first. How do you see it? Who's going to the championship?
I mean, I don't call half of the fantasy sports teams that I play, football, basketball, hockey, whatever. I name half of my teams Hoosier Daddy. So there's no way I'm not going to put the Hoosiers in the championship game. Hoosiers all the way for me.
I did not realize that. I knew that bottom bracket was probably where we were going to have our biggest differing of opinion, but I thought that top bracket is where we're going to see eye to eye. And to me, Major League carries me so far, but eventually it meets its match. I would have loved to see maybe a Hoosiers Major League championship, but to me, they meet in the Final Four, and Hoosiers advances all the way. So we are looking at, so for me, it's Hoosiers versus Rocky in the national championship, with then Major League versus Rudy in the consolation for third. You will have Hoosiers versus Miracle, correct? And Major League versus a League of Their Own for the consolation?
Correct.
And let's start with the consolation for you. So Major League versus a League of Their Own. How do you see it?
Like you said, in different worlds and different brackets, Major League's a championship contender. They're going to win this third place game and take home the bronze medal.
I completely agree, even though they're playing different for me. Major League has a spot in the podium, and that's the way they found it. They may get there, on the bronze, but yeah, any other year, any other bracket breakdown, they're right there in the championship. So for me, consolation. So we're in agreement with Major League. I will yield to you for Hoosiers versus a league of their or versus Miracle, right? I'm
Okay.
sorry. Or
Yes.
yes. So
And
Hoosiers Miracle, how do you see it?
this one is just too close to call. So as I mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
the coin is getting flipped.
Flip it.
Heads is for Hoosiers.
Mhm.
Tails is for
The Miracle on Ice.
Miracle on Ice. Excuse me. Yes. And here we go.
Okay. Tremendous.
It was great. They come across good on the camera.
Looks great. You'll love it when you see it.
I have not flipped anything except my earpiece out of my ear. But the winner is heads. Hoosiers is my champion.
Well, I'm a little I'm not gonna flip a coin. For me, Hoosiers Rocky. Rocky could only take so far in any other bracket. It could be right there, it could fall off earlier, but Rocky gave it a ride. But Gene Hackman has the boys primed. They're playing strong. And to me, just as I don't like to take a number one in a basketball bracket, sometimes you're a number one for a reason. You've earned it. You've played hard. This is one that I hope, my children, it's still watching this movie and find something to tug from them. And Hoosiers takes it all the way for me. So it's one of those, a typical year where the muddiness of the middle of the bracket, things break differently for everybody, but at the end, still have many, many similar number ones winning it. And for me, yeah, it's Hoosiers.
That cream always rises to the top, whether we're talking basketball, movies, whatever. It's number one for a reason, like you said. Very deserving of that seeding, and it proved its worth in this tournament.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard some film critics say that it's if you can turn off the score, the music that play as they're playing through the tournament and throughout that movie, if you just took it out of the movie and had no music behind them, it becomes a very it actually hurts you how much that music is a part of that movie, that people don't always give the credit to it as theatrical scores go that are written for these movies. That instrumental behind them to the very end, when it's just trickling in the background and you see the black and white photo hanging in that gym, I mean, that it keeps you pumped up throughout the entire movie.
I mean, the same as back to one of your favorites, back to Natural. I always remember.
It's just in harmony with the film. It's a part of it. Yep. I think as you talk about underdogs, I mean, is there a bigger underdogs than Hoosiers? Once again, these kids know farming, school, and basketball, and probably in that order. And
first time I remember, we used to take lots of trips out to Indiana to see my grandparents, and I mean, the movie is very accurate in saying that, or showing that almost every driveway you drive past, there's a basketball hoop in everybody's yard. I mean, it's like the state official sport of the state of Indiana.
Oh, absolutely. And going out on the train, once you get through like industrial Ohio, because the old Amtrak line, it takes you up like Toledo, Akron, but once you cross over in Indiana, there is nothing above like a 4-foot level. Like it's all farmland, corn.
Yes.
And it just, the train that comes out of Pittsburgh, I believe still a night train that heads out towards the Midwest that ends eventually in Chicago. But as the sun's coming up, you hit Indiana, and it just feels like you're watching Hoosiers through a window, because it is just corn, farm, a few basketball hoops, some churches, and old schoolhouses. That's
right.
That's what you see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, my friend, I think I really would like to hear some commentary on our boards to see of those 16 teams, who you would take, or are we crazy? Are we in line with what you're thinking? Am I a communist? Thank you for that, Jay. I appreciate that. I bleed red, white, and blue. So I just want to say that to our fans
For the record.
for the record, but I'm looking at this in a different light. I'm not looking at it as just the story. I'm looking at it as the film. So, I thank you for that, Jay. And we're going to come to a segment of our show now, which is from those that watch Family Guy and Peter Griffin, what grinds your gears, what gets under your skin. So after this emotional, gut-wrenching bracket that we just worked through our hopes and dreams, Jay, what grinds your gears?
I mean, well, I'm not on the subject of movies, just things I've noticed in general. I don't know if anybody recently or ever has purchased any items at the IKEA store. There's one out by Pittsburgh. It's a very nice store, but if you buy something that isn't there and it's in the warehouse, and you have to go across the street over by the Guitar Center, the warehouse, the parking lot is very, very small. They tell you to park in space. They give you a letter, space L. Well, the signs are so small that if a car is parked anywhere near there, you can't see any signs. The people who park in there are worse than any parking lot. And Nick and I have been in a few parking lots where it's been kind of shady. Um, as far as parking skills go, crooked, on the line, just trying to make their own space. It is just like all hell breaks loose there. We waited for an hour for our item. When we pulled in, we were like 24th in line, and it was kind of relaxing. The kids were home, but it was kind of relaxing to sit there. But we get to watch other people get angry through the whole process. Maybe they didn't text that they were there or check in at all, so they're like way at the back of the line. And we saw people trying to fit very big things into very small cars. So there was some theater provided for us while we were waiting, but the whole in and out process, they have to get either a bigger parking lot, a new location, something, because where they're at does not work. So small parking lots with a lot of cars grinds my gears.
I couldn't agree more. Mine is in the same car vein, but it is drivers, and these are. I'm just going to pick on Western Pennsylvania drivers, but nothing grinds my gears more than now. We have some antiquated roadways. We do not in Western Pennsylvania. I will stake my life on it. We do not have merge signs. We have yield signs. You yield to traffic that is already in motion. In that same vein, let me tell you this. When I lived in Allegheny County, it might as well, the sign must not have even existed, because no matter if you're right next to them, they're coming in, whether you like it or not. They don't care, they don't look, and they are going straight ahead. However, in Westmoreland County, it is a different pain. Instead of taking the entire ramp up lane and then moving into traffic as you have your opening, they are a dead stop at the beginning of the ramp, which will cause a complete chasm of drivers behind. Everyone's slamming on their brakes because grandma stops and then waits until the entire bypass turnpike is clear until they make their way on. And this is where you see the for those who have, baby boomer parents, it's still traditionally called the bypass through Greensburg, which is Route 30 past Hempfield, getting out to the mall. That was not originally Route 30. Route 30 went through the center of Greensburg. They created that little highway to go around. So that bypass has become the epicenter of stopping, not yielding, and then creating that. And then you have parkway and turnpike drivers who are just boxing you out whether you're on the road or not. Or you have the Good Samaritan that also grinds my gears, that are slowing down, not blinking their lights, just assuming that they're letting me in. No way are they signaling that I should come over. You keep driving, I'll drive, and we'll both work together. Don't slow down, and don't be an a-hole coming over, because you're grinding the heck out of my gears. And the more you don't use your turn signal, the more it makes me want to come up to you at a stoplight with a baseball bat, crack the window, and all I'm going to do with that bat is just hit your left and right turn signal and then go back to my car. I will not harm you. I just want to make sure it is working.
I wanted to make sure that at some point turn signals were brought up, because I was going to mention something about that, possibly being the thing that most grinds my gears, but being that close to my visit at IKEA, that kind of took precedent tonight. But people just going any direction they want to and not telling you with the turn signal which way they're going to go. I mean,
I'm
that
just
might be
supposed to
something.
guess.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
you just leaning into my lane or coming. I'm just supposed to guess that that's what you want to do.
that's right.
You have a blinker, and when I have mine on, do not ride my backside within an inch of my life. It's on for a reason. I am slowing down to make a turn. And for anyone who has come on Route 201, Ross Draver Road, in my now town of almost 5 years now, I will say that turn signal is on for a reason. Do not ram me because I am slowing down to turn. Not a half mile away, but just a generous distance, as it should be, to let you know I will be turning.
I am very grateful and thankful to have somebody like you residing in my hometown. When I moved out, not long after that, when Nick and his family moved in. So I have passed the torch of taking care of the 15012 to Mr. Falcone here.
Thank you. I feel privileged and honored to be in this wonderful township. And on my final note of grinding my gears, let's just say that backing in to a spot is a privilege, not a right. If you can't do it, don't do it. There is no backup camera parking assist that'll ever be created that will make you do it well. If you can't do it, just pull into the spot, my friend, because you're taking up two spaces, you're hitting cars, you're parking in between lines. Stop it. Stop it. I beg you. For you, your children, for your family, for your daughter's sake, please stop backing into spaces. You can't do it.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I always love the challenge of backing into a space using the side view mirrors. Now with the camera, I am very tempted to watch the camera and not my side view mirrors, but I should just pretend like it doesn't exist. In fact, when my kids do learn how to drive, I'll probably put some kind of paper over top of that camera so they can't see it.
I'm actually interested to see how, when you take your driving test, I would think they'd still have to make you do the traditional. And I don't know how you can turn a backup camera off, but
Yeah.
you almost have. I mean, I can remember, you have to look over your shoulder, hands at 10 and 2, and go. And I hope they still do that because it's a scary world out there. Also, if you can't parallel park, don't drive in the city, my friend. Find a parking lot. You back into spaces when you parallel park. You back in. You put your turn signal on at a car ahead. You back in. It can be done in one motion. Do not drive in head first because you will make a 72-point turn. The only time it's official is if there's no car and you can slide completely in perfectly. But please, if you can't parallel park, move on. Let the rest of us do it. And on that note, I say to you, Jay, where can our fine folks find Selective Memories at on our social media platforms?
Okay. Besides this YouTube channel you're watching today, and thank you very much for all you who are watching, feel free to email the show at dramadads@gmail.com. On Facebook, we're at Selective Memories, and on Twitter, we're at Dramadad. So, leave some feedback either in the comment section here or on one of those platforms. We'd love to hear from you, not just on topics we have discussed, but maybe ones you want to hear going forward.
Absolutely. We love to hear from you. Please let us know you're out there. Let us know how we're doing. Like Jay said, any topics, let us know. Also on this bracket that we went over today, please, let's hear your thoughts. Let's hear, how you feel about that. And we thank you for listening. And we will be back with you hopefully very soon here with our next show. Jay, I thank you as always for being here. This is Selective Memories. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.